It has been 1 month since Apple unleashed its highly anticipated Apple Vision Pro onto the market. Now that we've had ample time to put it through its paces, it's time for a deep dive into what this groundbreaking device brings to the table. So what is the Vision Pro actually? You got people saying it's a virtual reality headset, while other people are calling it an augmented reality headset. In actuality, it's a mixed reality headset since it does both VR and AR, and I refuse to call this thing a spatial computing headset, mainly because it just doesn't roll off the tongue well and it just sounds corny. Now that we know it's an MR headset, how do you actually use it? Simple. The headset uses eye and hand tracking to navigate. Think of your eyes as the cursor and your fingers as the left-click button on a mouse or trackpad. From there, you can use a pinching gesture to move windows, scaling those windows, and scrolling through them. Unfortunately, this headset does not come with VR controllers, and because of that, there is not a lot of VR game support for this headset yet. I'll expand on that later. The Apple Vision Pro comes with two head straps, the Solo Knit Band and the Dual Loop Band. The Solo Knit Band is very uncomfortable because it just squeezes your head, even if it does feel nice on the back of the head. The Dual Loop Band does a way better job of distributing weight compared to the Solo Knit Band, but it still doesn't distribute weight properly. The weight distribution problem is also why the headset feels heavy in the first place, because most of the weight is placed in front of you. Now this is also because the straps are flexible rather than being rigid, and the top strap should have been from the front to back instead of the sides. Even though the weight isn't as bad for me, as someone who already has long VR sessions, it would still help a lot if the headset was lighter. However, I do like these straps if you're lying down on a bed, a couch, or a reclining seat, as its form factor doesn't dig in the back of your head. So I prefer the dual strap since it helps the headset be flush with my face and weight distribution. Just keep in mind that your face, size, and shape will determine what kind of strap is the most comfortable to you. Besides that, I can't wait for the third-party market to make better straps. I'm looking at you, Bobo VR and Cubo Design. The light seal and face cushion are both lightweight and magnetic, so that's nice to know. But they're not perfect. If you look at the light seal, parts of it are plastic, but there are also parts of it that are just fabric. So some light can bleed through the fabric, which is not great at all because I have been taken out of some immersive experiences. There's also a small gap in the bottom of the light seal, but I think that's more from my own nose shape. If you happen to break your light seal, just keep in mind a replacement will cost you $199, so please take care of it. As for the cushion, it's okay, but still can use a lot of work. You can still feel weight on the forehead and cheekbones because of the terrible weight distribution from the head straps. The other problem is that the cushion is too small. It should wrap around the face more and be slightly thicker. Here's the difference between the Vive Pro Eye and Vision Pro face cushion. Because the cushion is smaller, you can feel most of the weight in a smaller area rather than distributing it wider, and you also have to keep in mind comfort is also dependent on your face shape. For me, I'm able to wear the headset for long periods of time without a problem until I'm 6 hours in, and I'm already used to long VR sessions with my Vive. The headset itself definitely feels premium because of its aluminum frame, but that's also why most people think it's heavy. The glass cover also makes it look sleek and smooth, which is typical of the Apple aesthetic, so overall it feels like this product is robust and will last me a long time. As for the pass-through quality, it's okay. It's for sure better than the Quest 3, but it still has some noise issues, even in bright or ideal lighting conditions. The good thing is that you can also read text through your phone and laptop, unless you're in terrible low lighting conditions. So far I've had no issues, but it's still slightly difficult to read, but it's doable. The field of view is pretty small. I don't have exact numbers, but it's definitely narrower vertically and horizontally compared to my Vive Pro Eye and the Quest 3. However, I do like how hand occlusion has no warping compared to the Quest 3. Warping always makes me nauseous and feel cross-eyed, so it's great that the Vision Pro has fixed that issue most headsets suffer from. As for the camera quality, when taking photos or videos, it's pretty much the same as the iPhone. Spatial videos and photos look cool, but I don't like how it's square rather than 16:9. Personally, I think the 3D effect is strongest in video form because movement really helps with the parallax effect. One thing to note is that spatial videos and photos taken from your phone is not good at all since that feature is mainly from the Vision Pro. If you take spatial videos and photos from the Vision Pro, then it will look a lot better. Now, on to the optics. This headset uses pancake lenses in combination with micro OLEDs. Because of that, images look amazing, whites look white, and blacks actually look black. If you also take into account the 23 million pixel resolution with the 34 pixel per degree, images look crisp and clear without the screen door effect you see on most headsets. The sweet spot is also easier to find than most headsets out there. I can look around the displays and everything still looks clear. And chromatic aberrations aren't as bad as you only notice them at the very edge of the lenses. However, you will see some glare in high contrast scenes, but the fix to that is to put yourself in an environment set to daytime, or simply have your room lit while doing pass-through. One thing I did notice is that whenever you move, you'll see motion blur. I'm not sure if that's a result of the stabilization or if it's a display characteristic. It's not the biggest deal breaker, but definitely something noticeable. As for tracking, it is amazing until there's barely any light. Then you just lose tracking, which is highly disappointing. That can be fixed by buying an infrared illuminator, but I just wish that wasn't something I had to deal with. However, what I do like is how the Apple Vision Pro remembers where everything is despite traveling long distances, but that only works as long as you don't turn off the headset. Eye tracking works well for the most part, but on some occasions, sometimes tracking doesn't seem to work when doing high precision work. If I look at a small button, Vision Pro thinks that I'm looking at another button next to it. Even if I recalibrate eye tracking, Vision Pro still has a hard time with small buttons. Despite that, this headset does have Foveated Rendering, which helps out a lot. If you don't know what that is, basically, wherever your eye is looking at, the headset will render that area with a higher resolution while everything else is rendered at a lower resolution in order to help with processing. Now onto travel mode. This mode allows you to have your windows stay with you as you move when you're in an airplane. It works for the most part, and with some turbulence there can be some jitters, but it recovers pretty well. However, if there's too much turbulence, or if it's completely dark, you can lose tracking. This mode works a little bit on cars, but the moment you hit a bump or make a turn, you lose tracking. Because of this, I think Apple needs to make a car and train mode. I'm hoping this is fixed through a firmware update. As for audio, it's actually pretty great. I can hear things crisp and clearly. Obviously, bass isn't as strong as you only get better bass with headphones or earbuds. If you're in a noisy environment, then I would recommend using earbuds or headphones for full immersion. Other than that, stock audio sounds good and it does its job. The spatial audio is cool, but that's been around for a while, so nothing groundbreaking here. As for the battery, it feels robust, but battery life is not so great as it lasts anywhere from 2 to 3 hours depending on how you're using it. It would be great if it was at least 4 hours, and the cable needs to be longer. You'll need to daisy chain another battery to last longer, or connect to the supplied charger. The bulkiness and cable kinda ruins immersion in my opinion, since I do catch myself getting caught in the cable from time to time. As for the user interface, it's easy and simple to navigate just like using an iPhone or iPad. To access the home menu, you just click the digital crown and your apps appear. You can swipe left and right to scroll through your apps, however, you can't customize where apps are. If you look to the sidebar on the left, you can also access people, which essentially is for messaging and FaceTime, and below that you can access environments. If you look up and pinch the down arrow inside the circle, you can access the home menu, environment, control center, and notifications. Under control center, you can access travel mode, airplane mode, focus mode, guest mode, Mac virtual display, mirror mode, screen record, search, and accessibility shortcuts. Moving on to environments. This has to be one of the coolest features of the headset, as you can transport yourself into an immersive environment by dialing the digital crown. When it comes to focus, this feature really helps. I don't use it so much for productivity, but it helps a lot when watching content. Your focus is also improved whenever you use dark mode versions of whatever environment you're using. A cool feature is that each environment not only has its own sound, but your voice will match the reverb or room tone of the environment. What you need to note is that you can't really explore an environment, as it's mainly used for when you're sitting or standing in place. Another neat feature is seeing people appear through your environment so that you're aware of who is around you. When this happens, eyesight also kicks into play. Something I also found out is that you can just walk out of the environment to use the bathroom, go back to bed, and the environment is still there, no need to use your dial. Talking about eyesight, this is the feature that makes a rendering of your eyes so that people around you know you're looking at them while you're immersed. The idea of eyesight is cool, I understand the purpose, but execution is not great. It's blurry, and it doesn't actually align with the face properly, and it's not as bright. It needs to be greatly improved upon. Now, the reason why the headset has a rendering of your eyes is because it takes it from your persona. What's a persona? Personas are 3D avatars of your face and hands, and you get them by scanning your face and hands using the Vision Pro. It's a cool feature you can use while FaceTiming or making other video calls, but it is a bit creepy. Even with the latest update, personas are still in that uncanny valley, and it does seem to struggle with scanning your hair. So make sure to fix your hair well before doing the scanning process. If you want to share your headset with family and friends, you can do so, but each guest has to go through the calibration process, which can be time-consuming. You have to account for other people's face size and shape, which means having multiple different light seal and cushion sizes. Another factor that makes this headset difficult to share is requiring prescription lenses for the headset, which is another $99, so you're better off just using contacts. As for the apps, there are so many apps, but a lot are just garbage for practical use. There are some good apps, but the majority just feel like half-assed demos. Most of the apps are designed for iPad and not the ground up for Vision Pro. Besides the lack of good apps, I do like how it's a part of the Apple ecosystem, mainly because that helps with productivity. If I get headset fatigue, I can always continue to work on a phone or laptop. It's one of the main selling points of the headset. I also like how I can use Mac Virtual Display to have a bigger computer screen paired with multiple displays. This makes multitasking more contextual. Before you were limited to one screen, but now you can have multiple screens using the split screen multi-display app. As for your peripherals like your keyboard and trackpad, they're very responsive, they work well, and using them allows me to work faster than using gestures. The trackpad seems to be a bit more sensitive than I'm used to with the Vision Pro for some reason. When using a keyboard, sometimes Vision Pro thinks you're pinching, which makes the headset do things you didn't intend to do. So you really have to keep in mind how your fingers are placed or moved. As for other peripherals, you can pair them with Sony controllers and Xbox controllers. I'm not sure if you can pair them with the majority of mouses out there, but a lot of people have been saying that they are unable to pair their Apple mouse and other mouses out there. Now, when talking about productivity on the Apple Vision Pro, you can definitely get work done from the headset alone, but the process is a bit slower since you're using your eyes and hand gestures. It doesn't help that eye tracking isn't 100% accurate, especially when trying to interact with smaller buttons. As for watching content, I think this is one of the biggest strengths of the Apple Vision Pro. I remember watching Avatar Way of Water in 3D, and for a moment it felt like I was there. It was that scene when that guy is looking out onto the planet from the space station, and the combination of the background, midground, and foreground, and a widescreen that kind of fooled my brain into thinking I was in that scene. Now, I know 3D movies seem like a gimmick, but viewing them on Vision Pro definitely looks a lot better than viewing a 3D movie in a theater. Because of the immersion of this headset, I don't think I'll be buying an insanely huge TV. I could always just put on the Apple Vision Pro and be immersed watching that content. I even binged watched all of Monarch while I was laying down on my bed till 6 AM, and I gotta say it was one of the most comfy ways to watch a television show. When it comes to immersive video, that too is amazing, but with some drawbacks. There seems to be a sweet spot for immersive video, which is in the middle of the frame. If you look too far to the sides, you'll feel like you'll have double vision, and you'll feel the same way if a subject comes too close to the camera. This is also heavily dependent on the type of 3D cameras used and lens combinations. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Some 3D immersive video is a lot better than the others. I thought that the show with the girl with the yellow jacket had to be like the best looking one out there, and the one with Alicia Keys, that was cool too, but I still felt like I was cross-eyed whenever Alicia Keys or other subjects were too close to the camera. So besides that, I ended up watching Loki Season 2 till 8 AM in the morning, and I just started watching a lot of Crunchyroll, and sometimes it does tend to be a problem, but content consumption on this thing seems to be the biggest strength of the Vision Pro, as I said earlier. So how's gaming like in the Apple Vision Pro? Sadly to say, in my opinion, it is garbage. There are games in there, but most are 2D iPad games rather than Vision Pro specific games. If I wanted to play iPad games, I would use an iPad. There's also Steam Link and Remote Play for your PlayStation and Xbox, But why would I want to play 2D games in a VR headset? It doesn't make sense. Now there are VR and AR games, but there is a severe lack of them. Most of them still feel like demos and don't have a lot of depth. You can get Steam VR to work, but you have to use ALVR and do some tweaking just to get it to work properly. Ivory developers are also working on getting Steam VR to work with the AVP. Now, I'm no developer, and I'm just a regular guy who wants just Steam VR to work immediately without having to go through extra steps. So I guess all of us have to wait till that gets developed, but it's still frustrating considering the $3,500 price tag. Gaming has to be the weakest point of the headset, but then again, when was Apple ever known for gaming? So how about using this device in public? Well, it's not really meant for that. If you're walking, you have to actively hold apps as you walk, since they don't work like a HUD. I absolutely would not use this while driving or biking because your peripherals are completely covered. It's also expensive, so you do risk getting robbed. It definitely makes sense if you use this at a cafe, but not bars or restaurants since those places are meant for socializing. It definitely sticks out like a sore thumb, and it doesn't really complement outfits. Plus, it's too front heavy for jogging, running, or just working out in general. So how do I mostly use Apple Vision Pro? So far, I've been mostly using it for watching a lot of movies, shows, and anime. The secondary use for it is social media, so I'll be on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. For productivity, I use it a little bit just for basic tasks like emails, messaging, scheduling, and note-taking. As for video editing, photo editing, and music production, I haven't really used it that much because my Mac is what I mainly work off when I'm doing that type of work. One thing to note about this headset is airflow. There seems to be a slight breeze coming from the fans within the headset, which leads to dry eyes after long sessions, so make sure to have those eye drops ready. Another thing to note is that there is no multiplayer capabilities. If I watch a movie, it's just me, and I'm not able to watch that movie with anyone else. If I play a game from the App Store, there's no one else to play it with. When it comes to doing work with people in your vicinity, you can't even show your work because your Mac blacks out when using Mac Virtual Display. Even if you mirror your display, it's only outputted to 720p, so it's difficult to use in a professional setting. Whenever you're in an environment, while using a keyboard, there is no occlusion for that, so you always have to dial back the environment. So let's do a quick recap about the strong and weak points of this headset. Starting off with the strong points. Watching content is crisp and clear. 3D movies look amazing and better than 3D in a theater. Multitasking. Apple ecosystem for productivity. Digital crown for easily transitioning between VR and Passthrough. People awareness, Mac Virtual Display, no warping with Passthrough, occlusion, and build quality. As for the weak points, there needs to be dedicated VR controllers, wider field of view, needs better head straps, need wider light seal and more comfy face cushion, needs better battery life, needs reduced weight, needs more better games, needs more better apps, needs more immersive content, needs better quality personas, needs better noise reduction and low light capabilities for pass-through, needs multiplayer and multiplayer play space interaction, needs improved eyesight quality. It would be great if there was customization to use an avatar rather than a persona, needs more accurate eye tracking for smaller buttons, needs to be quicker to share with others, needs dark mode, needs occlusion for keyboard while in an environment, and it is expensive. So who is this headset for? This is for developers, hardcore AR/VR enthusiasts, or anyone with disposable income. I can't recommend this product to the average person. You're better off getting the MetaQuest 3 or the Big Screen Beyond. MetaQuest 3 for the gaming and if you're on a budget. Big Screen Beyond if you want the best displays closest to the Vision Pro, with the addition of being the lightest headset in the market. Just keep in mind that this is purely a VR headset, so there is no pass-through. The Apple Vision Pro still has a long way to go if Apple wants this product to be usable for the masses. I predict it could be generation 3 or 4 till this product is used on a consistent basis. To be honest with you, this headset is capable of so much more, but because Apple is Apple, they have limited its ability to mostly productivity and content viewing. If Apple wasn't so stubborn and also focused on the gaming side of VR, this headset could have been groundbreaking. As for me, I'm still going to keep this headset because I want to see how it changes over the long run, and I still like watching content on this headset. It is the main strong point of the Vision Pro. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell as I will be coming out with more content. I'm Kevin, and that's a wrap.